I want to talk about genuine relationships and what it means to me. There's countless of people who lack genuine relationships in their life, whether it be friendship or companionship. What makes a connection genuine? This video is going to be entirely unscripted, and I'm going to speak from the heart, hopefully dig into myself and try to find the definition for what makes a genuine relationship. My whole life, when trying to escalate relationships or starting something new with somebody, there's always so much games being played. There's always so much, I'm afraid to be too desperate, so I'm not gonna text first. There's always waiting for them to show interest. There's always waiting for them to reciprocate before we talk more or try to escalate. There's so much fear of appearing desperate and needy. Texting people often very much can chase people away. Your interest cannot be reciprocated, and sometimes that can hurt like fuck. And because of that, we can't start conversations whenever we want. We can't talk to them just because we are thinking of them. That's weird. That's needy. That's being too desperate. And there's so many games being played, like slowly pushing the boundaries. Rules in your head that you have to say certain things to get them more comfortable with you first. And not replying instantly so that, they think you're not that needy, not that obsessive. You see their message on your notifications already. And you just, okay, and then you wait like 30 minutes, then you respond. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Ever since I was young, I was really bothered that this is how, teens communicate. And that absolutely sucks. I think what I'm looking for in a genuine relationship is not being inhibited by these games. That we can genuinely text each other whenever we feel like it, with no inhibitions, with no fear of lost. Even if they are to disappear, we understand that is not our fault. We understand not to take it personally, and we continue not to be afraid of showing interest. We continue not to be afraid of appearing desperate and needy. And we continue texting when we think of them or we want to talk to them. The modern culture of conversation through text is absolutely skewed, and I can't live with it. You should be able to text and call them whenever you like, without them walking away from you, without them thinking you're weird and leaving you. A while back, I was with this girl. We ate dinner together. Then after that, we went to a place to just relax, and we talked about many things. We told many stories. We discussed a lot of worldviews. It was really fun, and I felt like there was a genuine connection there. We talked, and she mentioned that she doesn't really talk to this mutual friend of ours anymore, and she's kind of sad about that. And I asked her when's the last time she texted her, and it was a long while back. So I asked her, why not you start a conversation again? Then she said that she could appear desperate and needy if she just randomly out of the blue messaged this girl, and that it would be weird. I encouraged her to do it. I told her that we should be honest with what we want and not be afraid of rejection. And being afraid of appearing too desperate while in texting is a poisonous game, and she agreed with me. And here it becomes quite ironic. We agree on many opinions and we shared many stories with one another. And being quite inexperienced back then with women, I thought we had a genuine connection. I kind of grew to really like her. And afterwards I thought, man, fuck those games. I'm gonna text her if I feel like it. And then I quite literally texted her every single time I felt like it. At first it was fun. At first it was fine. And slowly she started ghosting me for longer and longer periods of time. And eventually she would ignore me for days on end and respond like nothing just happened. Of course, she was trying to discourage me from texting her. So after agreeing on so many worldviews, after agreeing on not being afraid to appear desperate and not being afraid to tell the truth of what we think, she wasn't honest with me and she thought of me as too desperate. And that broke my heart. It really did, because I genuinely think I had a great connection. And after agreeing with me with everything and still kind of lying to me in that way, I had quite a nihilism spiral. Relationships are meaningless. Promises are meaningless. People lie so easily. I had this whole anger heartbreak moment for quite a few days. And I was convinced that you have to play these games to find people for a very long time after that. Since secondary school, which is something like high school for Americans, but it's for the age range of 13 to 16 instead of, I think high school is 14 to 18 or something like that. I see many cliques around and I kind of wanted to emulate that. I took a lot of pride in making relationships and I really wanted to have the most authentic connections. Nobody has as good connections with my friends as I do. I have the most authentic relationships and they're always going to be there for me, unlike all the other people who depend on shallow relationships and things like that. Now, I'll tell myself that looking back now, that was a heap of delusion. I put together a bunch of people that were found from playing a video game. We formed a Discord clan, and at the time that was the best idea of relationships I had. We would do many things together and I assumed the role of the leader. I knew everyone and I was trying to bring everyone together, kind of cross bonding. This lie that I pride myself on. I have built great company around me. I did everything to put them together, like kind of a government. Now that I think about it, it's kind of autistic. There was so much nonsense, so much drama that you kind of inject yourself into and you try to fix things here and there. Very childlike things. I was a child, so let me grow up, right? I spent so much time and capacity putting these people together. I strategized. I was calculative with how bonding experiences was done. I was calculative with how I could help everybody come together, how I could make everybody feel contented, how I could discuss with everyone, how I put so much focus into unity, but we didn't have that at all. Slowly, the entire group was torn apart because, I was kind of the glue. And if I wasn't present, the way they click won't be entirely harmonious. And also, we centered our life around playing games. There was a united interest. Whereas now I'm learning that different interests and disagreeing in political ideas or opinions in general doesn't mean you can't be friends. Doesn't mean you can't hold a wonderful relationship with somebody you don't exactly agree with. So as my priorities changed, I started pulling myself away from that. And after time, I just realized that I was sticking with them to cope, to not make new relationships, because I convinced myself that if I dedicate all my time and capacity to one group of people, focus on keeping them together, focus on keeping them bothered, you can already see the problem with me. You can already see why it didn't work out, because I had all these selfish desires and childlike need to control of things. So you could already see why it doesn't work out. And because they aren't very high quality, mature and competent people themselves, there was a lot of lying going around. People weren't honest. And soon I found myself betrayed and lied to behind my back for certain things that I won't get into. Is kind of cringe. I've talked about it plenty in other videos before. I disbanded the group because I saw no value in hanging out with people like them once I started my self-improvement journey. It's very easy to get hurt and heartbroken and then pick up these habits. But I will tell you one thing. Letting your heartbreak force you to adopt bad habits like these, bad tendencies when dealing with people, being afraid to appear too desperate, being afraid to be honest, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna limit yourself from finding those who will be honest and will text you every time they feel like it. And are not afraid to. And are not afraid of feeling needy. Or at least will grow to realize what you're doing. Maybe at first they'll be too afraid to appear needy or desperate. After kind of warming up to you, after realizing that you have zero neediness and you have zero ulterior intentions other than texting them every time you think of them, you're going to find the genuine people. You're going to find people who don't play those games. I thought these people didn't exist in my time, but they do. I promise you that. I forced myself to trust again because something inside of me knew that if I let myself be heartbroken and I be someone who plays these games, I would never find the people who don't play these games. I intrinsically don't want to play these games. I genuinely hate these too afraid to be desperate games. I hate it with every ounce of my soul, and every ounce of my spirit bugs me to the bone. It makes me so angry and so upset and afraid. The solution is never to play these games in order to fit in and find the relationships you deserve. It was never that. The solution was to understand my priorities, be focused on something in life, have a huge social circle which gives me a lot of opportunities, and I can genuinely text anyone in that social circle when I feel like talking to them because I'm interested in everyone I surround myself with and I genuinely love them. After cutting out a lot of people, after getting to know a lot of new healthy relationships, I understand more than ever that to make relationships, you don't have to play these games. If I'm genuinely not free to text them, I will tell them I'm busy and I'm gonna do something. And they're completely fine with it. If I have no capacity to talk to them, I'll tell them I have no capacity and they're completely fine with it. And they'll tell me the same. They're honest with me and they text me every time they feel like it. And this is not just men. There's plenty of women who are like these as well. It's just really difficult to find because this culture is developing and people tend to turn to heartbreak for answers because people learn from fear and sadness. Logically speaking, you're not gonna do something that hurts you. Why the hell would you do that? Are you insane? Or we have to reevaluate. Is that a real lesson, or are those habits that we want to adopt because of the heartbreak genuinely what we want to use to communicate with people, to find new relationships? Will our ideal self be okay with that? Is that what we truly want? Genuine relationships encompass loyalty, honesty. There's none of these funny games being played. You love and cherish them, but you understand to keep the relationship, you can't navigate the conversation with a perpetual fear of loss. You have to be honest even if it means losing them. You have to joke, tease, even if it means losing them. You have to be vocal about what you think, even if it means losing them. You text them when you feel like it, even if it means losing them. Do what you want and go after what you want. And just because they don't reciprocate doesn't necessarily always mean they're not interested. You should go for what you want unless you're harassing them or you stop being interested. Because perhaps they're so withdrawn, you eventually become bored of them. But you should always be focused on keeping your options open. Because if you only have one good friend, for example, that will be the only person you ever think of. And then every time you feel like talking to someone, it will be that same friend. I imagine you have plenty of spare hours that you're gonna use talking to friends in a single day. So you will be quite annoying, not gonna lie. But even if it means chasing that one friend away, playing these games is still not the answer. And if you are seriously afraid of loss, what you can do is simply be honest. I want to talk to you more, but I'm scared that I come off too needy and you become bothered by me. That's being vulnerable. It is not shameful for you to say that at all. It's not shameful for you to show someone that you cherish them and you're afraid of losing them. Nothing shameful over that. You might think you're giving them power, but when you're honest, you are only empowering yourself. And sure, when they respond to that question, they could just lie and say, oh, I won't leave you even if you are too needy or something like that. like that. Even if they lie, choose to trust anyway and don't take it personally if they do leave you. It will hurt like fuck, it will tear you apart, but that's how you filter out your friends. And I genuinely believe that this is the only way to operate if you do want to find those genuine relationships. You should be willing to polarize. You should be willing to ask people out. Call them when you feel like it, even if you could come off as too creepy or too needy. Let them say no and be okay with that. Also, I do want to mention that being selfish doesn't mean you can't make genuine relationships. Even if it's an unhealthy one. Both of you feed off each other in some way, perhaps. For example, maybe both of you have trauma traits that require you to understand each other's past entirely so that you can rest easy and feel safe in that knowledge of understanding each other. Genuine relationships can be forged out of terrible emotions as well and terrible habits. Genuine relationships are not bound to mentally healthy people. Genuine relationships are forged by two people going after what they want from each other. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Genuine relationships are two people going after what they want in each other. My brothers, don't let your heartbreak define you. Don't let your heartbreak be your compass in how you make decisions. Just because one person perhaps doesn't share your ideals doesn't mean other people would not. Completely true. Learn from your mistake. But sometimes connecting with people is one of the most complicated things that can never be boiled down into some statements and guidelines and rules. A mistake you could have made in one relationship could not be a mistake in another. I think the best way to operate is to simply be honest with your desires and go after them, and be honest with the person you're talking to, because any other way will be you subconsciously trying to manipulate, trying to strategize and calculate their attraction for you, their bond with you. And that's a terrible way to navigate, because who are you to calculate and strategize those unless you can read their mind perfectly? And maybe sometimes you can. Sure, you're not that cool. We all have common tendencies, but you can never read everything about anyone. These funny games and beating around the bush and lies because you're too afraid to be honest, to me is one of the biggest waste of time and capacity I can ever imagine. And of course, going after what you want is going to be heartbreaking at first, because most likely people won't be used to that. And having a lot of subconscious fear while you're trying to be someone who is less afraid of rejection and someone who goes after what they want more, you're going to be half confident, expressive and honest, and half of you is still subconsciously holding back. So when you speak to people and you try not to play games but play games at the exact same time, you're gonna seem quite weird. You have to get used to being rejected, and you have to get used to being deemed needy and weird for the first part, until you kind of completely relax in being rejected and people leaving you because you're too needy. You have to relax in that rejection. You have to have other things going for you, things to focus on, so you're not continuously just trying to talk to people. So you're actually busy sometimes. So your life doesn't revolve around the relationships you have. And you need to have abundant options so that you understand that you deserve relationships. You understand that you are somewhat important. And when you finally relax in your fear of being rejected, the compound effect takes place. You're going to make so many genuine relationships. Even those who play games will many times notice that you're simply being completely honest with your intentions and completely honest with your feelings and going after what you want by talking to them genuinely when you feel like it. Even those who are used to playing games will be like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. He isn't afraid. He isn't trying to play no games. And I can trust him. I can trust that he's going to tell me the truth. I can trust that I don't have to think of so many things, be calculative with my approach. Even people who play games will be attracted to you. That's how you make genuine relationships. You abandon the need to play games, and then you build yourself up, become someone who has some sort of value that people can pick up on, have more experiences, form your opinions better, be good at things, and that will further increase your ability to find more people. Connecting with people is supposed to be a beautiful thing. You don't have to be calculative or strategizing how you can make them the most attracted to you or makes you most charismatic. You don't have to strategize any of that. You simply have to be honest with your desires, learn social norms as you go, what works and what doesn't. It takes a very long time to develop, because the things you learn from one experience is not going to be correct for every experience. So your character will be developed over time, and letting go and relaxing in the potential rejection can absolutely hurt like crazy. It can absolutely make you think this doesn't work, right? We need to play these games. There's a very long pain period, and whether you trust me or not, that's completely up to you. I'm telling you my experience and how abandoning these games completely changed my view on relationships and completely helped me connect with people better. Having so many options that I don't really have to be afraid of losing one of them, and knowing that even if I cherish that person like absolute crazy, I love that person to bits, and I cannot lose them. I have to be willing to do things that could potentially lose them, to be expressive with my thoughts, to be honest with what I think, to be honest with what I feel. Even if that could push that person away, I know I have to do it. I know I have to express it, because once I let myself strategize how to keep them in my circle, that relationship, that bond is going to diminish, is going to dilute, because when you don't go after what you want and you're not honest with how you feel, your character lacks depth, you become less interesting. And mentally healthy people who have communicated in ways where they don't have to be afraid of being rejected are not going to find you that interesting, and are not going to like the games you're playing. So I wish you all the best. I'm going to repeat it again because I came to a revelation in just recording this video, so it's pretty badass. Genuine relationships are people who go after what they want in each other, honestly. And how you find them is to genuinely go after what you want in someone, honestly. I pray that we all find the relationships we deserve. I pray that we all surround ourselves with genuine people. Connecting with people is such a beautiful thing. And in the past, there was none of these calculative, strategical approaches to meeting people. People connected from simply what they wanted from each other. And I think we are severely lacking that in today's age of communicating through social media, and this culture and this habit of playing these mind games of being too afraid to be desperate or saying you agree with something but actually you do not. None of that. We don't need any of that to connect with someone. Let us force ourselves to walk into our fear of loss, and let us all surround ourselves with good people to better world.